What's up, peers, and welcome to Bitcoin to the Max here on the World Crypto Network. Thank you very much for joining. We have talked previously on this show about the progression of a money throughout time and in accordance to logic, right? So we start out with scarcity, with the complete relinquishment of control after the exchange, after the transaction, and how Bitcoin achieves that, moving to being a digital collectible for just randomness, for being a nerd, and for just liking this digital scarce good. And over increasing decentralization, we can speculate that further peers will join the network. And when we do so, necessarily the next step is greater security and protocol robustness. What does Murad mean with this specific point here? Well, inherently, a monetary network needs to be sound, it needs to be secure, it needs to be anti-fragile. And that is, upon others, the adherence to the consensus rules, to what was agreed upon initially. And with a useful money, with a good money, such as silver or such as gold, the rules of the network have been set with the creation of the universe. We define silver as having these many protons and neutrons in the atom structure. And that is just the overall consensus. And the definition of gold is different in the sense that there are different protons and different numbers of neutrons in the atom of a gold. Thus, there inherently is the overreaching consensus, and that is not going to change much at all. So gold right here and silver are interesting monies because they are unchangeable in that aspect, and therefore robust, right? So how about Bitcoin? Well, this unchangeability is first and foremost has to be verified, right? And this verification with silver, it is by smelting down these coins and proving for their purity. With Bitcoin, it's running a Bitcoin full node, right? It is making sure that everyone in the system, or as many people as possible, have the ability to run and verify every single transaction on their own hardware, on their own open source software. And this verification process is vitally important. So you enforce the Bitcoin consensus, and every peer does so. And this gives Bitcoin the robustness, the anti-fragility. And therefore, it is a interesting aspect of Bitcoin that the unchangeability is verified by everyone. And therefore, because there is this emergence Schelling point on the one money, which is Bitcoin, started by Satoshi Nakamoto in January 3rd, 2009. And the history of the consensus has never been broken. It is an unbroken consensus. And therefore, still the Schelling point of the entire economy, Bitcoin economy. And this inherent robustness relies on the entire network and, of course, upon others, on running a full node and verifying and enforcing this consensus. Because on this full node, if someone is breaking consensus, if someone is threatening the security and the enforcement of consensus, well, then you, as the operator of a Bitcoin full node, enforces the consensus by banning this individual node from the network and no longer talking to it. So in that sense, you also keep the Bitcoin network pure and clean of anyone who's trying to break it. And there are people doing that, believe me, but don't trust verify. Then further is, of course, code security, because Bitcoin fundamentally is language and operated by machines, thus it is computer code. And there are a lot of complexities in the Bitcoin software. And we see with even minute changes to the code having potentially huge effects with bugs in the Bitcoin software. And that is inherent in any software. There is no perfect software, just as there is no perfect spoken word. And therefore, we have to continue with securing the network by improving its code quality, by doing the peer review, and therefore increasing the code security of Bitcoin. These are just some parts of how the Bitcoin ecosystem is making sure that there is greater security in its network, and that thus the protocol and the consensus is anti-fragile and ever growing and expanding. Thank you very much for joining me here today for the show Bitcoin to the Max here on the World Crypto Network. And thanks to you, my peers, the peers of the World Crypto Network. You are the sponsors of this show because of your gracious support on patreon.com/WCN, and for Bitcoin donations, teleco.in/HillebrandMax and /MapBitcoins. We have the opportunity of making sure that we spread this awareness and making sure that people know what Bitcoin is all about, which is one part of the security. One part is education, and ultimately the consistent action with that information that is hopefully being understood by running a full node. Thank you very much for joining us here on the World Crypto Network, and see you on the next show. Bye-bye.